Halloween night at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. The great hall was alight with floating jack-o'-lanterns and bats fluttered beneath the starry ceiling. I swept through the crowds of merry students in my usual sour mood. How I despised this garish holiday. As the night wore on, the students eventually retreated to their common rooms. I descended to the Slytherin dungeons to find Draco Malfoy waiting for me, his pointed face even paler than usual. It's time, I told him curtly, leading the way to the 7th floor. Draco followed in silence, confusion and curiosity etched on his face. We paced thrice before the hidden entrance to the room of requirement. When the door materialized, Draco gasped. I held up a hand in warning and preceded him inside. The room was dimly lit with black candles, casting sinister shadows on the stone walls. 7 figures in dark robes stood before a statue of Salazar Slytherin. Their faces were obscured by hoods as they waited in perfect silence. Draco hesitated at the threshold, but I firmly steered him forward. My brothers, I intoned, inclining my head towards the silent gathering. Tonight we welcome a new heir into our fold. I placed my hands on Draco's shoulders. Young Draco has proved himself worthy to join the sworn protectors of Slytherin's legacies. Draco looked uneasily at the still figure shrouded in shadow. Professor, what is this? He whispered. They call themselves the heirs of Salazar Slytherin, I explained. Descendants of the ancient pure blood lines, chosen to uphold Salazar's noble cause, cleansing Hogwarts of the mudblood filth that infest it like vermin. Draco's eyes widened, but he remained silent. The tall figure in the center stepped forward. For 10 generations, we have kept the secrets of Salazar Slytherin alive in the shadows, he proclaimed, and chosen by the great founder to carry out his vision. A Hogwarts purified of those unworthy to study magic. The leader swept his gaze over Draco's frozen form. Many are selected, but few prove capable of fulfilling our sacred duty. Young Malfoy, are you prepared to take the vows of a Slytherin heir? Draco licked his dry lips, but stood firm. I am, he declared. Then kneel, commanded the leader, and seal loyalty in blood. Trembling, Draco knelt before the statue of Slytherin. I produced a silver goblet filled with a dark liquid from my robes. Drink, I commanded, and bind yourself eternally to the noble cause. Draco took the goblet with shaking hands. He peered down at the thick crimson liquid. This was powerful magic beyond his experience. After a moment's hesitation, he drank deeply, took back the empty chalice as Draco swayed, his eyes suddenly bright. Yes, I feel the change, he gasped. The blood calls to me. Behind me, the heirs murmured their assent. Then it is done, I proclaimed. Rise now as our brother and champion. I drew back Draco's hood to reveal his pale, pointed face and eyes burning with fervor. The heirs gathered around and bowed their heads in acceptance. Draco was now one of the chosen guardians of Slytherin's legacy. Over the coming weeks, Draco's induction into the ancient order intensified. Restricted grimoires and texts were studied late into the night, their secrets jealously guarded. Once a week we performed the rituals, sometimes merely recitations and rapt meditation, other times more ominous rites. On the first new moon after Samhain, a white hind was dragged before Slytherin's statue, antlers chained with silver. A goblet was held to its neck, blood filling it to brimming. Purity through sacrifice, the heirs chanted as they passed the goblet and drank deeply. The stag's accusing eyes found Draco as he lifted the chalice to his lips. He hesitated only a moment before draining it. The heirs cheered his dedication. The lessons continued. Soon the true purpose became clear, preparing for the purification of Hogwarts from the mudblood taint. The heirs seethed with hatred towards those they deemed unworthy to study magic. Granger's cleverness, the Creepy brothers' enthusiasm, Justin Finch Fletchley's humor. It mattered not to the heirs. In their eyes, these students were abominations who polluted the hallowed halls. Draco took to the training with an unsettling zeal. His distaste for Granger and the other Muggleborns curdled into open contempt and malice under the heir's tutelage. This stoked his prejudice, fueling his sense of superiority as one of the last scions of the sacred 28 pureblood families. The heirs had grand designs to seize control of Hogwarts and remake it in Salazar's pureblood image, by any means necessary. As Samhain approached, their scheming reached a fever pitch. The veil between worlds was thin and power could be drawn from the darkness. On Halloween night, the heirs gathered by torchlight in the forbidden forest, clad in hooded black robes. They stood encircling a mudblood girl bound with silver chains to an obsidian altar. Brothers, tonight we strike a mighty blow against the mudblood stain that spreads through our noble school, intoned the leader. We called upon Salazar, Slytherin himself, to imbue us with the resolve to do what must be done. One by one, the heirs drew ornate daggers and sliced their palms, letting the blood drip over the weeping girl. She strained against her bonds, eyes wide with terror. Fresh innocent blood to fuel old prejudices in a profane ritual. Draco stepped forward, clutching the ritual blade. He raised it above the girl's, hand trembling. The depth of what he was to do seemed to sink in, seeing the stark fear in her eyes. He hesitated, blade shaking. The leader gripped his shoulder. You weaken our brother, he hissed in Draco's ear. Prove yourself worthy of Salazar's gift flowing in your veins. Draco's face hardened, doubt replaced by fervent purpose. He turned to face the girl, dagger poised. For the purity of blood, Draco cried. With a snarl for Salazar, he drew the dagger across her exposed throat in one swift stroke. A spray of crimson erupted over the altar as her life drained out. The heirs shouted their approval, applauding Draco's loyalty. His initiation was complete. In the weeks after Samhain, a tense atmosphere permeated the halls of Hogwarts. The heirs' hatred seeped through the walls themselves, but none outside our circles suspected the poison spreading within. Until the day Granger was found petrified near the library, a strange warning scrawled on the wall in blood. The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Enemies of the heir, beware. The heirs grew paranoid, suspecting betrayal among their ranks. But the truth was far graver. The chamber had been opened by a darker power they did not control, as more Muggleborn students were attacked. The heirs desperately sought the heir of Slytherin, not realizing it was the soul of the Dark Lord himself, acting through his old diary to fulfill Salazar's blood-stained vision. In their arrogance, the heirs had opened the door for an ancient evil to crawl forth. Events spiraled beyond their control as the monster within the chamber roamed unchecked. On the day Ginny Weasley disappeared, the heirs gathered one final time, their numbers now reduced to 5. Our noble work has been usurped, muttered their leader bitterly. Another has taken up the cause and pearls all we built in the shadows. They looked at each other in suspicion. Which of them had betrayed their vows and loosened this new horror on the school? There is only one solution, said the leader, pulling a long knife from his robes. We must purge the unworthy from our ranks through sacrifice. Our true brother will survive any ordeal. Before Draco could protest, he found himself bound to the altar, dagger at his throat. Brother, no. I have been ever faithful, but the heirs' minds were set under the blood moon. They repeated the ritual to fuel their magics, and by dawn only 4 heirs remained. In the aftermath, the heirs vanished as suddenly as they had appeared. With Draco silenced, only I kept their secrets. The Chamber of Secrets was forever sealed, and Salazar's vision faded into shadowed legend once more. But in my darker moments, I see again the fire in Draco's eyes when he held the blade over innocent blood. Though the heirs are gone, their hatred lingers in the world, slowly poisoning the waters, waiting to be awakened once more when the time is right. The blood never forgets its vows.